Hi, and welcome to a new episode of Raid the Dungeon. Today we're gonna talk about the new content which came out today called Abyss. So first of all, to enter the Abyss, we will need this new Abyssal marks or Mark of Abyss. They are pretty expensive. They cost 25 Mark of the Rift and 4 internal or infernal essence, however they're called. So that's about worth 29 Mark of the Rifts. We can enter the Abyss when we go to our adventure mode and then to Rift. And once you have hit level 10,000, you can join the Abyss. Important thing here is you can only enter it 500 times a week, so you're limited. You have 10 stages. I guess higher stages give better drops. So let's just make it one time so you see how it looks like, but in general it looks more or less the same like the normal Rift ones, just a little bit more reddish. In general I'm playing this one with my normal Rift setup, so high Rift advanced rate. This increases my chances to drop more gems, and I think that's the most important part about this. So you can see we got here 7 marks and some gems. So here you can see the higher the Rift advanced rate, the more gems we get. We get 7 abyssal stones per run, and we can also get keys of prophecies, Mark of the Rift. I haven't seen drop these yet, but you can get 25 keys of prophecies here. So, and now maybe let's jump into the skill tree, and I will try to explain you how and what to skill best. So like I said before, we get these rift stones, not rift stones, these abyssal power stones, and with these we can buy different skills. And in order to explain what to skill, I will jump into a picture. So before we jump into the skill tree, let's go through some facts. So like I mentioned before, you need to be level 10,000. In order to enter the Abyss, you need this Mark of Abyss, short term MOA. They look like this. You need 25 Mark of the Rift and 4 EA. So this means in total it's 20 times more expensive to enter than Rift 45. And I think one of the most important things is that quartz and gem drops, they are pretty similar to Rift 45. So you're not losing anything out. This also means that you probably won't be running Rift 45 anymore in the future. Yes, on stage 10 you get 7 stones, on lower stages you get less stones. You need these stones to buy skills in the skill tree, and what is important, when you buy a skill in the skill tree, the next one will increase in price. So in total we can do only 500 abyssal stages a week, and when we calculate all of the stones needed to skill all of the skills in the skill tree, we will need a minimum of 12 weeks to get all of the skills. But this is only if you really do 500 runs a week. And I guess most of you, or of us, we won't be able to finish it in 12 weeks, because you need over 12,000, I think it's near 15,000 Mark of the Rifts in total per week to be able to do 500 runs a week. So I guess for most players, they will need half a year or more to really complete the skill tree. So, and now let's come to the interesting part. So as you can see here, we have the 2 skill trees, and here at the top we have also the passive ones. So maybe let's start at the top with these relict ones. So in general you can level this to infinity, but they will also increase in price. So at some point they won't be worthwhile to level anymore, or at least not much. Because I guess when you have to pay like 1000 stones for 2.5% extra boss multiply, it won't be worth anymore. But in general I also think these ones at the top, you should skill them once you're finished with the skill tree. Maybe when the skills here get a little bit more expensive, I don't know, like 1,500, 2,000, something like that, you could skill you could put a few of the stones into the relicts at the top here. In general, I would say the most important one is the extra boss damage multiply. The second most important one is Rift Advanced Rate, because with this you get also more gems. And least important is the gold one, so I wouldn't put anything into the gold one, or at least very little. So let's start maybe with the judgment tree skill. Skill tree, sorry. So at first I would choose multiply, because most of the players, they have a higher attack increase than multiply, so it's always better to choose the lower part of the damage calculation. And also later on you will choose here, as you see here at the bottom, the attack increase. So that's why I'm choosing here multiply. The next one, yeah, movement speed, great for adventure. The third one, yeah, that's not easy. You have some bosses with the poison pool, and also some bosses with the burning pool. So in general, these two damage types, I mean, you can choose what you want, what you prefer. I think there is no right or wrong here. Next one is pretty much clear. Dash distance will help you in adventure. The next one, skill damage versus boss damage. In general, when you play mage, you will need skill damage most of the part, because your boss damage is already high. If you play ranger, your skill damage will be normally already very high, like 40k or plus. So normally then it would be better to choose boss damage to get more damage out of it. The third part to take into consideration is, since you can level here your boss damage to infinity, this means in theory it would be better to choose skill damage in really for the end game. But until you have this boss damage very high, I would still go with this boss damage node, since it gives not only 100, but it gives 150% more. So I will stick to this one. But like I said, if you mainly play mage, this one is better. If you play mainly ranger, this one's gonna be better. If you play both characters, I still think boss damage is gonna be better, but in the real end game, skill damage will be better. So I guess at some point you will have to reskill this. So the next two, this is, yeah, pretty much clear for me. I would choose poison rate, since you need poison rate in order to activate Hand of Death. If you play only ranger, you could also think about going burn rate, since you have poison rate with your skills already. But if you play both classes like mage and ranger, I would stick to poison rate, to be honest. The next one, critical rate versus critical damage. We have something similar here at the bottom. In general, I would go with the stat nodes, because when you have the stat nodes, the first point is you can easier go to use Loki instead of dragons. And the second point is from Honor Dungeon stage 800, you have much more debuffs. So your critical rate, penetration power, and skill cooldown reduce will be reduced further into the TD29 debuffs. And also in the future, when TD 30, so tier dungeon level 30 comes out, you will need more stats. So that's why in general I would always go with the stats here, because then you have also more flexibility with the charms. Yeah, this one, to be honest, they're both shit, so you can choose whatever you want. Here the same, go with the stats, 3% critical rate cap. Yeah, I don't think that's great. Same with the last node. I mean, in general, skill cooldown reduce is nice, but I don't think that 3% makes the cut. And with choosing additional attack rate 20%, you can maybe save yourself some charm in your setup. So let's come to the redemption skill tree. I've taken a look at my character, so with defense I would definitely go with multiply, since the multiply value is the lower. Health, yeah, it's similar, so you can either way choose health increase or health multiply, depends which value is lower in your character screen. I think this one, the next one, is pretty clear. Freeze resistance, you don't want to get frozen, because when you're frozen, most of the time you will die and can't do any damage. Then again we have, again, both of them are pretty much trash. The next one, here I would go with skill damage multiply, because we will get a lot of multiply from the relic here at the top right, so go with the skill damage multiply. Next one, we have freeze rate and shock rate. I prefer to go with freeze rate because with the new mount, the sheep mount, you have like 5% passive. If you choose this node, then you have already 10%. And if you don't have to use the frost title, then you can use like the guild title, which is much better. And yeah, I mean, freeze always comes in handy, and I don't think even in weeks where that tier dungeon boss has shock weakness, I think 5% won't cut it. So overall, I think this 5% will help you in the long run much more. So this one we had already, stick with the stats. Although, I mean, yes, this critical damage multiply and critical damage increase is pretty nice. So I guess there could be some builds where this is better if you have already kept your stats. But in general, go with the normal stats. Here we can choose between base attack damage and accuracy. Since for the Honor dungeon you will need a ranger, I would go with this one, because 10% accuracy, it's not that big of a deal, since when the tier dungeon boss has the weakness, he has mostly at least 30%, so you will need anyway a charm with accuracy, so this 10% don't help anything, and this one will help you with your ranger. Yeah, penetration cap 3% and attack increase. I would never choose this penetration cap added 3%, because this node here, I think this is the best node in the whole tree. It's so much worth of damage, and if you choose this one, you will have like a third class penetration build, which won't be anyway good. So go with this and try to get a 5% pen cap item. I mean, maybe if you have really good items and you really only miss like 1 or 2 penetration cap, but you will need to test it. But in the end, this node is just too good to be missed out. Yeah, and the last one, again, I will go with the stats. And also this additional attack rate is only 15%, so I would stick again with the stats to be able to play Loki or to be able to clear higher Honor dungeon tiers. So that's it. I hope now we have a first good impression about the Abyss dungeon and about the skill tree. So like I said, you can change some of the nodes and adapt it to your playstyle, but I think with this setup, yeah, you will pretty much cover most parts of the game and make some progress. So if you enjoyed this video, please leave me a like, subscribe, and see you next time. Bye.